Don't talk. Talk. Ay, ay, ay.
All right, we are here, Portland SportsBeat. We are out at Portland Indoor Soccer tonight for what seems to be a crazy games of soccer going on here. We got lots of loud noises.
Did you hear what happened?
I know.
One dude almost got ejected.
Yeah.
It's my kind of soccer.
Yeah, indoor soccer is definitely a lot more physical than the old outdoor soccer. You got guys getting checked into walls. I swear sometimes, Brad, this glass is going to break, this plexiglass behind us.
I'm telling you, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But at least this time we can see, because otherwise it's to our backs. But I can see what's going on. So I see a ball there, I might jump. You know why. All
right, we are out here at Portland Indoor Soccer. I am PJ Miller. Along with me is Brad Stein. And we are out talking a little bit of sports tonight. We got
sports as a topic. Yeah, sounds good.
We got a great crew out here, and you know, we just really thank you to Portland Indoor Soccer for letting us set up out here. And you know, if you got some, if you guys want to play some soccer, this is a great indoor facility out here. So definitely come check it out. It's one of the premier places. It's right in downtown off of Main Street between MLK and Grand. So,
but you better watch out for that hooligan in back of us. That kid was going crazy.
You know, it was really cool.
I like that.
When we first got here, they had the little kids going. There was the little kicks. So it was great. You know, they had the field cut in half.
Right.
And they had those little tiny goals. They're all running around. It's so funny when you watch those little kids play soccer, because it's like the soccer ball and they're all just running around.
Yeah, they look cute, right?
Yeah, there's no like passing or anything like that. They just run with the ball and stuff like that.
Yeah, the game gets real technical once you get to the adults.
All right, so we got a great show for you tonight. You know, we're going to be talking some Blazers a little bit later. Ben Golliver is going to join us, so he'll come on and give us some insight. Blazers starting out with a great year so far.
And some icy cold NFL talk.
Yes.
Woo, Sunday. What do you think? Should we play football, the Super Bowl, out in cold weather outdoor stadium? We're going to discuss that.
Yeah.
Better believe it.
Did you get a chance to watch? I know we're going to talk about it. Did you watch most of the games?
Yes, all of them.
It was a crazy weekend for football.
We're going to get into that a lot more,
Yeah, so we're going to be talking a little college football. Nick Saban, what's going to happen with him?
Leaving, staying.
You know, Oregon is playing Texas. Lots of news swirling about Texas and Mac Brown. So a little controversy there. So we'll touch on that. But like every show, we are going to start out with the top 5. So, Brad, why don't you go ahead and start us out there with the top 5.
Top 5 stories of the day, P.J. Miller. We're going to start from 5. We're going to work our way all the way down to number 1. Number 5, if you are a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, Are you happy with Kobe Bryant's return?
It depends on if I'm going to be here next year. If I'm going to be playing on that team next year, I am not happy because the best thing for the Lakers would be to suck this year, Kobe Bryant sit out and get a great draft pick and then sign a free agent as well, and they could be right back into a perennial power.
I agree with you, but if I'm a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, it's all about winning, baby, right?
Yeah.
Win, baby, win. And to win, you need your best players, and whether he's the most selfish guy or unselfish guy, that's your option, what you think about that. But, yeah, I believe I want him playing on my team. I want him playing on my team. The guy can score once his Achilles gets a little bit stronger. He gets back in the flow of things. If I want to win, I need Kobe Bryant because Pau Gasol being your #1 scorer and Jody Meeks, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it anyways because the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs.
No, and if they do, they're going to be a one and out. There's a lot.
They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
this year.
There's been a lot of surprise teams though. There's been a lot
Phoenix.
of surprise. Yeah, Phoenix, and they're right now. I believe they're above Golden State and they're above Memphis.
Phoenix is a lot better, more talented than LA, and Golden State's way more talented and more deep than the Lakers.
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't really matter. But I still want to win most games. That's what it's all about. If I'm a player, I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not thinking about a draft pick. If I'm the coach or a GM, I might be thinking about a draft pick.
Well, but
not if I'm a player.
But think about it this way: if you're one of those players that's going to lose time to Kobe Bryant, you can make yourself quite a payday if he's not playing. And they play a very different offense without Kobe Bryant because they move the ball a lot more, and people are getting a lot more shots. If Kobe comes back, he's a ball stopper, and they're not going to get their shots.
Yeah, that's why I had to think about that topic pretty thoroughly. But I'll keep him. I'll take him. So you're gonna rid him. Get rid of him.
If I'm on the Lakers, I think I would like Kobe to not play this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But I just would rather him on the team. Plus, I can always say, if I'm young, I'm a rookie, I can say I played with Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest to ever do it, 5 rings. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. He admitted he still had pain in his shoulder last week. This could be a problem. Should Green Bay just shut him down? They're only a half a game out.
They're only a half a game out.
Only a half a game
and
out.
If they had
and Detroit is trying to give them give anybody the NFC North. Please, take it.
If they had a halfway decent backup, I would say let the backup play and just shut him down. But, I mean, they can't get anybody healthy at their backups, and they can't play worth a darn anyways. So I would say if you can get him back and you still got a shot to make the playoffs, because if he comes back, they're still a very good team. He brings another dynamic.
Of course he does.
And he's only going to continue to get healthier and healthier. And I don't think that, barring some catastrophic where he hits it and just totally shatters it, that even if he were to re-injure it and
it's his
re-crack it a little bit,
non-throwing shoulder.
yeah, he'll still be back for the beginning of next year.
It's his non-throwing shoulder. If he does not have pain and it is fully healed, he should be playing even if they are 2 games out. I don't think it sends a good message to your team by saying, we're going to sit this guy. If he's healthy, he's ready to go, there's no pain, he should be playing, especially a half a game out. No questions. I can't believe anyone would sit there and say, shut him down. He's a quarterback. He's a person. He's a player. He's not a fragile mannequin.
Yeah.
He's not a piece of art. He's not a piece of art. Pablo Picasso did not invent this guy. His mother did, Mrs. Rogers and Mr. Rogers, and he wears the greatest sweaters in the world. Right?
His dad wearing the sweater.
I love those
sweaters,
sweaters, man.
The train that goes
through. The train. Oh, you remember that?
Yeah.
I used to have nightmares about all the sweating. He used to take the shoes, the puppets. Yeah, the puppets were nasty.
They were pretty scary.
Nasty. I didn't like them. All right, number 3. A.J. McCarron received advice from A-Rod, of all people, right before the Iron Bowl. That's probably why they lost, PJ. That's probably why they lost that game, because he got some advice from Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't.
Would you take advice from that guy?
I don't know. The only reason I would is just to see what crazy thing he would come up with. Yeah.
But do you know why, right? There is an affiliation between, I think, one of the trainers in Alabama, and he also works with the Yankees.
Yeah, so he's getting some
a mental health counselor.
Juice.
Yeah, well, maybe. But would you question A.J. McCarron, though? If you're in the NFL, you're going to question his character by going to Alex Rodriguez?
Did he seek him out?
Well, he was told. He was linked, I said, with the guy from Alabama.
I don't. If he didn't seek him out, no. And I don't really. If you want to talk to some big time player, because the thing is that at least Alex Rodriguez has dealt with the pressure and all those kind of things. So he may be able to give some insight into those kind of things.
Why have you always sucked under pressure?
Yeah,
how come you only came
what do you do so I can do the opposite?
Well, then that's fine. But if I was Alex Rodriguez, I think I'd be a little hurt, embarrassed, and I don't know. I don't know if I would take the phone call, but
yeah,
hey, that's fine. A.J. McCarron, I don't hold anything against you. Whatever kind of knowledge you can get, whether it's positive or negative, it's good knowledge.
Yeah.
It improves you.
And I think that, he probably just got it, I don't know. It would be hard, if you're an athlete like that, and you got someone who's making millions of dollars and is a high-profile athlete, you're probably just going to take that call just out of courtesy.
Right.
I mean, how many times are you going to get a call from a guy like Alex Rodriguez who's just going to call you up and say, "Hey, let's shoot the."
Yeah, I think he called A-Rod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Number 2, Kirk Cousins is starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins over Robert Griffin III. This seems like a power trip from Mike Shanahan. I feel that he wants to be fired. He's making $7 million a year, and he wants away from Dan Snyder. So if you can rid yourself of Snyder and keep $7 million to not have to work, not a bad idea.
And go over
and shut his man, because that is not Mike Shanahan's man. That is Dan Snyder's man.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can get rid of him, bring Kirk Cousins in, and get fired at the same time and still collect $7 million, heck, I'd do it.
Yeah.
I'd do it for $100,000.
And think about all the openings that are going to be in this offseason. Go
it's a good
to
job.
Texans and you have a team that's ready, a playoff-ready team right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
I mean, there are going to be
that could
teams
be a
out
good
there
fit.
they're going to be teams out there that are going to fit his style a lot better.
He's won 2 Super Bowls, but he might be the most overrated multiple Super Bowl coach winner.
Well, when you have
one
one of the greatest,
Sean Elway.
Yeah, when you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
And adding the Terrell Davis there.
Yeah.
Towards the end of Elway's career.
Yeah,
makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, and Bell and all the number of running backs in that offensive line that they've always had.
One of the hardest venues to play at too.
Yeah.
Mile High Stadium. What if Kirk Cousins goes 3-0 in these next 3 weeks? Is there a quarterback controversy?
No, I don't think so. The only thing that would create a controversy is going to be injuries.
Yeah.
Even if he goes 3-0. And remember, when Cousins came in last year, he played well.
Played extremely well.
So, I don't think that – I think the only thing it would do is maybe increase his trade stock.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's Robert Griffin III's team.
Yeah, which would probably be good for them because then they can trade him, but
or solidifies him as probably the number 1 backup in all of football.
But do you want to pay? I mean, it's eventually when his contract comes up, you're going to have to pay him.
He's got 2 more years after this year because it's a 4-year contract. So you have 2 more years to have a good backup quarterback with a quarterback who has durability issues. I say you keep him. Yeah. But if you can get a first-round draft pick, then you take it. But I don't think you're going to get a first-round draft pick.
The only thing is, do you want to have a guy back behind your starting quarterback who a lot of people are going to be calling for a lot of the time if you don't win? So create some controversy and some trouble for you.
So it's a problem. It's a good problem and bad problem to have.
Yeah.
So that leads us to the number 1 story of the day, PJ Miller, right here. Portland SportsBeat at Portland Indoor Soccer. Number 1. Do we need a drum roll? I think we all know what it is. Nick Saban, the face. Yeah, thank you. The face, Mr. Nick Saban. What are you doing? Will he or won't he jump ship?
I think that there's a good chance that he will go to Texas.
You think there's a good chance?
I think that there's a good chance. He's had a contract sitting on his desk since Friday for Alabama. If he was really committed to Alabama, he would have signed that already. The only reason he wouldn't sign it is if he's 2 reasons. He's trying to get a job at Texas or he's trying to get more money.
Yes, the leverage, getting more money. That's what I think it is. And Alabama just offered him a contract today. I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's going to be a lot more money in the range of $7-8 million a year. Yeah. That's the most ever for a college coach. It's ridiculous. So.
But if any team can beat Alabama or outbid Alabama, it's going to be Texas.
Of course. But if think about it, you are Nick Saban. Why would you leave for Texas? Is that really a better job? Is that more glamorous?
Oh, yeah.
You think it's a better job?
Well, I think it's an easier job. Because you don't have to go against Auburn, who's doing very well.
An easier job.
You don't have to go against Florida. You're not going to have to go against Texas A&M and Sumlin. There's a lot.
But you've dominated that. You've dominated.
But how long are you going to do that? If you go over to Texas, you're going to get 2 years.
Thinks he can do it.
You're going to get 2 years of where people are just going to lay off of you. You're going to be able to build the program, and then the expectations are going to be there. But you're not going to have to go against anybody.
What about his legacy, though? He leaves. He does this again. He did it to the Dolphins, LSU. Now he does it to Alabama after saying he wasn't interested. How does that look for his legacy? Awful.
$10 million? I don't think he cares.
He can never go near Tuscaloosa or Alabama. They will kill him. They will hunt him down and kill him.
Yeah.
You think that snowball incident was bad in Eugene? You haven't seen anything.
Do you think he'd get a standing ovation if they played Auburn?
No.
No, you don't think so? You don't think Auburn would be excited that he left?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I think that'd just be. I think that'd be pretty funny if he did leave.
What do you do if you're Nick Saban? What would you do?
If it were me, I would probably, if I could get more money, if I'm talking like.
But it's not all about money, though.
It's not. But it goes
He's
back
still
to the
making
same.
so much.
When you go
They
back
offered
to
him more.
but think about the pressure that he has at Alabama.
Alabama.
People were calling for his job when he loses one game on a missed field goal on the last play
That's
of the
because of
game.
all the history and tradition. Who has more national championships? Alabama has more than any school.
Do you think that if he did what he did at Texas with
If he
Texas, what he did with Alabama, do you think they would be
yeah.
calling for his job?
No. And I understand if he goes to Texas and he wins a ring or wins a national championship or two, it's going to solidify him as the greatest college coach of all time. But he's also the biggest traitor. And people, the media who hate him now, they're going to hate him even worse. He's going to get so much scrutiny, and it's going to ruin his legacy. I see more harm. If I'm Nick Saban, I'm staying put. He can still get Alabama. He will get more money from them. I don't think it's worth it. You are at the University of Alabama. It's the greatest place to recruit. Everyone knows about it. It's all the history, all the tradition there, having a number on your helmet, no logo. I stay. You go.
I go.
You
I
go
to
for the
Texas.
money.
Yep.
I go because I'm
I go
loyal.
to- and
I'm
no,
loyal,
no.
PJ.
I go because the
Easier,
the
less
living,
pressure.
Yeah, you get to live in Texas as opposed to Alabama.
That's the only good thing. Austin's
the
a nicer
living
city.
and
Yeah.
no taxes. So you're going to get all that. There's no income tax there. So you're going to keep more of your money.
Okay.
And the pressure that is on him at Alabama, I think that it will be a lot easier.
He's
to win.
He's fared pretty well under that pressure. 3 national championships. He's doing all right.
But how long can that last? Everyone thought
How
USC.
long can it last? Oh,
Everyone
he's already
thought
won with
USC.
LSU. He's won everywhere he's been.
Yeah, but he only wins for a certain amount of time, and that's how all teams are.
It's almost 3 in a row. If he didn't kick a 57-yard field goal, we could be talking about 3 in a row. That's 4 with Alabama. Does he still leave then? Does he definitely leave, or does he stay? If he
I think
wins?
he stays if he wins a championship. But I think
okay, so he wins.
Yeah.
More pressure. I think he has several years if he screwed up that they're not going to be calling for his job. Who's going to replace him?
You think if they won 7 games next year that they wouldn't be calling for his job?
No.
I think they would.
Nick Saban, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No way. Coming up next, should the Super Bowl be played in outdoor, cold, frigid temperature? Woo! It get cold just thinking about that. You're listening to Portland Sports Beat Extra. I'm Brad. That's PJ. Thank you.
No, it won't even shoot that low.
Want to broadcasting right now live at the Long Yard in Portland, Northwest Portland. Checking, testing, 1 2, test 1 2, 1 2, testing 1 2.
Celebrating 50 years of exceptional health care, Maryville provides skilled nursing care, inpatient rehabilitation, and memory care. We provide a warm living environment and stimulating social activities for our residents. Learn more at maryvillenh.org. At Maryville, your family is our family. Maryville, celebrating its 50th anniversary of service with love.
We're back. Portland SportsBeat Extra live at Portland Indoor Soccer. I'm Brad Stein. Joined with me, right next to me, to my right, it's PJ Miller, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
we're
the
out here.
name.
Portland Indoor Soccer. There's no games going on right now.
They took a little break.
Yeah, there'll be another game. I think we got some girls action. You know, we were talking about the girls action a little bit earlier.
We like the girls action a little bit better.
We like the girls action.
We
a little bit
prefer
better.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the girls soccer game is going to be starting. So
Yeah.
this will be.
If we're distracted,
more-
you'll know why.
Yeah, probably. Actually, we could see. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Here we go. Hot, or I'm sorry, it's not hot sizzling talk. It is freezing, ice cold, frigid talk. That Sunday was so much fun to watch.
It was.
That.
When I turned
Loved
on, I went immediately to the Philadelphia game because that was the game that was on, and I was like, "Is there something wrong with my television?" I was like, "Holy cow! I can't even
It's
see
ridiculous.
anything."
You could not see anything.
They're like
I
talking
love
about when
that.
they were right before the game started. They went over to the coaches and they're like, "There's Chip Kelly." Well,
Is
I
it?
think
It might be
that's
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly.
You can see by the outline of his body, but
Yeah.
I can't tell of the face. Chip looked miserable, even though he's from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I love that kind of weather. I love when football's played in cold, icy, snowy conditions.
Have you ever played? You played
I
high school
played.
sports. Have you played in snow or?
No, because I played in Florida, but I played in New Jersey with a family in frigid, icy conditions, and
Yeah.
it was very hard for me because my hands get really cold.
Yeah.
And I was a quarterback. I really couldn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
I was having trouble holding it. What about you?
Yeah, when I was younger, we played like in Pop Warner kind of stuff. We played in
But
some,
not in high school?
In high school, we played in like freezing weather, like
But not snow.
like 10 or
Okay.
18, somewhere right around there,
Woo.
like really cold.
Okay.
But not any.
Did you like that?
understand.
How did it affect you? You were a
Oh,
quarterback.
I was a quarterback, but we ran the veer, so
Okay.
we were option team, so I didn't have to throw it as much. But you're still doing the option and having to pitch the ball and stuff like that. So it made it a little bit more difficult to do all those kind of things. The worst is taking a snap because everything we did was under center. So your hands they're just underneath there. And we didn't have
Hurts.
I went to Putnam. We had no money, so I didn't have one of those hand warmers underneath me that I could warm my hands up in. So they're like down my pants and stuff like that. And I never came off the field for offense or defense. I played both ways, so I never got a chance to like go warm my hands up or anything like that. They were always freezing cold. Never wore gloves or anything. So
I love it though.
Yeah.
It's great. Getting hit though in freezing cold weather hurts.
it does.
Good hitting weather.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I don't like
Yeah.
getting hit in it, but I love to hit someone.
And then when you land on the ground because
yeah.
the ground's
It's
frozen.
icy, frozen. Oh.
Yeah, just a double hit.
But the reaction
Yeah.
you get from someone else when you lay them out on the ground,
yeah.
it makes it all better. Yeah.
All right,
It's no,
so,
it's, all right.
so let's get back to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. It's played in New Jersey, in New York City. It's exciting. It's cold. It could be snowy. We talked about it. Might be 40. It could be 20. And just like it was in Philadelphia, I think it's a great idea. It's something different, and I love it. And it forces great teams and great coaches to adjust, to make the necessary schematically changes that they have to win the game. And Chip Kelly, that's not you're surprised that kind of offense that he runs, but he was able to make the necessary changes. Shady McCoy, a running back, that his all success is predicated on cutbacks, and he did fine. He broke a Philadelphia Eagles record. And I would love to see a Super Bowl played in freezing cold weather.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for in a Super Bowl. If you're looking at your Super Bowls, you want it to be the best game played at the highest level of everything.
But what's the best game played? Is it like 50-49? To me, I don't care about points. I like hard-hitting, smash-mouth football. Rain, snow, sleet, mud, ice. I want something different, something unique. Something where the coaches have to schematically change right on the dime. They're not planning snow. It's not going to snow, but it does.
Yeah. Well,
How are you going to change?
Yeah, and that is one thing you have to do that. But a lot of people like to just see, they want to see the preparation. How are you preparing? Are you able to game plan for the other team and make those adjustments? Because if you get in a game with snow, all those things that you game plan for get tossed right out the window, and it does become a game of making on the fly. But some people want to see, okay, how does this coach schematically get ready for this team, and then to make those adjustments at halftime.
Well, how do you side?
I would rather have it in a good weather and see both teams. And I'm not saying that I want to see a 40-38 game. I just want to see, the defense have good footing because, you saw in that game, if you make one cut on it as an offensive player, the defensive guy is going down because he's not going to be able to make a cut. He doesn't know where he's going.
90 touchdowns. That was a record scored. I love it. 6 lead changes in the last 15 minutes of the Minnesota-Baltimore game. Peyton Manning broke a record. Shady McCoy broke a record. Cincinnati, that's their third straight home game with 40-plus points.
Yeah.
So the weather, did it affect points? If you like points, it didn't affect points. Did it affect excitement? Absolutely not. It added. It heightened. I loved it. I can't ask for anything more. Matt Prater kicked a 64-yard field goal.
Yeah.
That's great. Finally,
NFL
Dempsey's record.
Yeah.
Finally broke Dempsey's record. How about the end of Miami-Pittsburgh? Did you see that game?
No, I didn't see it.
The end. Did you see what happened at the end? The highlights. It was almost the most. It would have been the most incredible finish in NFL history.
The laterals.
With the laterals. He just stepped out of bounds, Mr. Brown. What were you thinking? And again, that's icy, snowy conditions. I don't see one thing wrong. If any of that can translate to the Super Bowl, we are in for a great Super Bowl. If not, then it's not. But it's something different.
But you think
we played the Super Bowl in Miami back in 2008 with Indianapolis or Chicago. It was pouring rain because that's what it does out there. That's my hometown. And everyone thinks, oh, we got to have it in a warm weather. Well, you could be playing in the rain like that.
Yeah, that's why they play in a lot of domes, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see that. But New York City, there's no better place to party to have the Super Bowl.
Well, and you think about, like, past playoff games, some of the best playoff games, you think of Foxborough in the snow.
In the snow. Raiders, the tuck rule.
Yeah, yep. I mean, that's one of the, that's one
But
of the
isn't that what football's all about? That's what separates us from the NBA, Major League Baseball. We play in all kinds of weather.
Yeah.
So we should just play. We should reward New York. We should reward Seattle, another great city. I would love to see them host the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think
whether
that'd be
it's
great.
cold or rain, exactly. So then the weather might be 35 and really wet.
Yeah.
And those coaches are going to have to schematically change.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would be really interesting. And, I mean, because it's so late, the Super Bowl keeps getting pushed back and back and back. Now it's in February. I mean, the weather may not be as bad.
It's not going to be as bad. It'll be about 40 degrees. And I remember Marino and Montana played. I think that was in the Rose Bowl. And it was like 42 degrees. It was cold.
Yeah.
And it was a great game.
Yeah.
So not worried about that. I like it. It's something different again. This is true now. The NFL is considering the book League of Concussion. They might be making a movie about this, PJ. They might be making a movie. League of Concussion, the whole book, about the book. I'd love to see it.
I think it would be really, really interesting to kind of
see major motion
Yeah.
picture. Two partners won an auction, and they have the movie rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think, it would be interesting.
So they're trying to get like big time directors and actors in this.
Yeah. It'd be weird. I don't know.
How do you think it would do?
I don't know. I just don't know how gripping the storyline. I mean, you have to. I mean,
well, the
obviously,
true storylines we're going to be talking about.
They're
going
gonna
to
be
trauma,
embellished,
concussion,
though.
CTE, suicides.
Yeah.
It'll be embellished because it's Hollywood.
Yeah, it's like Blindside. It's nothing like what the real story was.
I know the whole. He was kind of mad about, but it's Hollywood. What are you going to do? So yeah, they're going to embellish a little bit, but I love NFL movies. I love sports movies, and I think not only will they have the NFL side of it, but I think a lot of people who are interested in learning and maybe history, I think they would probably want to see what this movie is all about too. So it could get a fair share of different types of people, a good genre.
Yeah, I think that because there's been so much talked about it in the last 4 or 5 years, that there will be some interest in what's going on.
Sure.
But if it's a bad movie, people will just.
I'm not saying it's going to be
bypass it,
award
but
winner. I don't know who's going to play what, but I never read the book, and there's so much about it that maybe I don't know, and it's interesting to see. Hopefully they won't embellish too much, but it is the NFL. It is Hollywood, so we can count on that. What do you think? Are we ready to call Ben Golliver?
Yeah.
'Cause that's coming up next. We're going to ask him which Blazer or Blazer should be in the All-Star game. That is next. This is Portland SportsBeat Extra, live from Portland Indoor Soccer.
Valley Catholic, home to exceptional academic programs, serving students in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, award-winning faculty, championship athletics, a renowned music school, drama and art. Faith-based education on a beautiful 43-acre campus in the heart of Beaverton. Learn more at valleycatholic.org. Academics, arts, athletics, excellence. Valley Catholic. Valley Catholic Early Learning School provides loving care and exciting learning experiences for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. It also offers after-school care for children through 5th grade. At Valley Catholic Early Learning School, we believe that children learn best by doing. We focus on the child's total development. Learn more about us at valleycatholic.org. Learning that meets the unique needs of each child. That's Valiant. Valley Catholic, home to exceptional celebrating 50 years of exceptional health care, Maryville provides skilled nursing care, inpatient rehabilitation, and memory care. We provide a warm living environment and stimulating social activities for our residents. Learn more at maryvillenh.org. At Maryville, your family is our family. Maryville, celebrating its 50th anniversary of service with love. Valley Catholic High School will host its 2013 open house on Sunday, October 13th from 1 to 4. Valley Catholic, the
We are back here at Portland Indoor Soccer. I almost called it the Lumberyard, but lucky I called it Portland Indoor Soccer.
Because we were watching the video.
We're watching the video, so I had it on the brain. I'm Brad Stein. Joined with me is TJ Miller. We have Ben Golliver from the Blazers Edge joining us.
Ben, how's it going?
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good. It's this Blazer season is kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of us. We thought that they would be better. We knew that their bench was going to be better. Were there signs during this offseason that this team could be this good this early on?
I don't think so, and I think even if you go and look through the preseason, they had a pretty rough and tumble preseason. Lots of injuries, inconsistent play, kind of up and down. They weren't shooting the ball great, turnover issues, and all that stuff. I think they caught themselves by surprise a little bit. I think they made a real point coming into the season, at least management did, of not having super high expectations, of trying to kind of just stay the course and kind of keep a level head. I think the one guy who really did set the bar pretty high was Coach Terry Stotts, and I think he did it in part because he didn't really have a choice. I think he looked at it like, hey, if it doesn't make some serious progress, he's probably going to start being on the hot seat. And I think that's sort of why he was really pushing the team to try to get the most out of whatever they had at this point. And he's done a very nice job of keeping their heads together and focused after win after win after win. I mean, you don't have a major winning streak like they did. You don't have the kind of quality wins like they've assembled if you don't have a really good team-wide focus and team-wide chemistry. And so I think you got to give Coach Terry Stotts a lot of credit for that. But I think they all realize their record right now at this point is well above what they could have reasonably expected coming into the season.
One of the things that I noticed this year, when you compare some of the past general managers, like maybe a Kevin Pritchard, to kind of Neil O'Shea's personality, he's not out front as much as maybe some of those other GMs are. What has Neil O'Shea's influence been, and what is he like, during the practices and during the games, and what are his interactions with the media and players?
He's a pretty sharp guy. He's not going to really beat around the bush. He can tend to have a little bit of a temper, at least in his off-the-record comments and sort of how he carries himself. He's very self-confident. And I think part of the reason why he's been so quiet so far this season is because he realized when he kind of came out of the gate right when he first got hired, and he was promising all these needle moving, signings and trades and all that. And, they struck out on Hibbert. They had a pretty rough season last year. And I think he realized that it's in his best interest not to kind of overpromise and underdeliver, so to speak. And he realized that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on him as a person and as an executive, just because, the Blazers are the biggest show in town. So I think that's part of the reason why he's been so quiet this year. But, they had a very thoughtful offseason. It wasn't a flashy offseason. The guys they get aren't necessarily individually playing all that well. I think with the exception of Robin Lopez, I think he's been the one new guy who's really been a major contributor. But you look at the other guys, they're just sort of bit players. They're not even playing that many minutes, and they're showing some things in flashes. Mo Williams, Thomas Robinson, every now and then. But these are not guys who are like totally changing the shape of the organization. I think a lot of the success so far this season comes from players who were already in place before Olshey was hired, the LaMarcus Aldridges and the Wesley Matthews and the Nicholas Batums of the world. Obviously, Damian Lillard has been a big player too. So I think that's part of the reason why he's staying quiet. But there's really nothing for him to be gained at this point by, coming out and sort of patting the whole organization on the back. They realize that if they have one injury, whether it's an Aldridge or a Lillard, or even a guy like a Batum, or frankly even Lopez, given who they're playing behind him in Joel Freeland, and they're not playing Larry Leonard at all. I think they realize they're one injury away from being a totally different team, and chemistry balance here is pretty precise. And so I think that's part of the reason they don't want to jinx it, so to speak.
Olshey, Stotts, the bench. What's the biggest reason the Blazers are 18-4?
Oh, well, no question about it. It's their offense. I mean, you look at their overall offensive scheme, and you got to give a lot of credit to Terry Stotts for that. But they've been shooting the ball lights out. They've got a whole bunch of shooters. That was clearly going to be one of their strengths coming into the season. I kind of pegged them as a top 10 offense, and they've totally exceeded that. I mean, they're the number one offense in the entire NBA right now. That includes the Heat. That includes the Spurs. That includes the Thunder. That includes the Clippers. Those are all, that includes the Rockets. I mean, all those teams are juggernauts. So for Portland to be sitting at the very top of all those teams with a lot of quality wins under their belt, whether it's the Pacers, the Thunder, the Spurs, I mean, that's quite a resume, and that's very impressive. And you don't just accidentally do that. I mean, a lot of that stuff is schemes. It's recognizing what players are good at and really kind of featuring them in roles where they're going to be able to be successful. You don't see Nicholas Batum have to create a lot one-on-one off the dribble. You don't see Wesley Matthews have to, kind of put the offense on his back. These guys are being kind of plugged into niche roles where they're really able to be successful and do what they do best. While guys like Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge really do the heavy lifting. That's the sign of a really smart and well thought out offense. It's also the sign of an offense where everybody's buying in and really being unselfish. There's been great ball movement this year. And I think Aldridge is really at the forefront of that. He's been very good passing out of double teams. And they've been, great at swinging the ball around the perimeter, something we haven't necessarily seen in previous years. So I think that most of the credit for the hot start goes to just how unbelievably elite their offense has been to date.
Right now, how do you think the Blazers match up against Oklahoma City, Golden State, or San Antonio in a 7-game series?
I've been getting that question a lot lately. I mean, to me, it's all going to come down to where they are health-wise once they get to that point. Like I said, I think they've got a chance to potentially, win a playoff series and maybe even an absolute best-case scenario win 2 playoff series if everybody stays healthy. But I think there's a real risk, given how deep the Western Conference is. If you lose one of these guys for a month and it comes at a bad time of the season, that can really – you can drop a lot of places on the standings very quickly. So, to me, if I'm forecasting favorites in the Western Conference, I'm always going to start with the Spurs and Thunder no matter what. Before this season started, I picked Thunder to come out of the West. They maybe haven't been quite as impressive as I expected, but they've still been very good, and they're just barely behind the Blazers in the standings, which is just a testament to how consistently excellent they are as an organization and how good the Durant-Westbrook pairing is. But let's not sleep on the Spurs either. I think that's a team, if you're Portland, that's your nightmare matchup in the playoffs. I mean, what we saw last year, I think in the Warriors, was sort of the best case scenario for the Blazers, right? It's like you kind of get everybody hot. You really rely on the 3-ball. You might not be as talented or as experienced as some other teams in the playoffs, but just everything goes right and you win a playoff series. But what happened to the Warriors in the second round against the Spurs? and they got totally picked apart. San Antonio did a great job of just isolating in on their weaknesses, and they really exposed them, and they ultimately won that series pretty handily. Even though Golden State played well, it wasn't like they laid an egg. San Antonio was just significantly better and more tested, and I think that's sort of Portland's worst case scenario matchup when it comes to the playoffs. You just don't want to play those guys.
We're with Ben Golliver from Blazers Edge and Sports Illustrated. Ben, you talked a little bit about that depth earlier and the bench, and you got Lopez, who you signed in the offseason, and you don't have a lot of depth behind him. Is this bench good enough to carry them in the playoffs or carry them to the playoffs? Last year, the starters played a lot of minutes, and they kind of wore out towards the end of the year. Are they going to be able to sustain this with the starters playing the minutes that they're playing?
Yeah, it's definitely an open question, and that remains to be seen. I mean, Lopez is certainly playing a very heavy load. He's doing a great job with it. He's been the biggest surprise, I think, individually of the season, is how well he's holding up. And so you want to see that because he has had injury issues in the past previous to his career. Of course, he did make it through all 82 games last season, so that's a positive indicator. The bench guys, I mean, I think they kind of are what they are. I mean, they're certainly a big upgrade over last year, which is not saying anything because last year's bench was historically bad. Those guys are going to be able to, give you minutes here and there. But if you're going more than 3 or 4 deep, and even guys like Thomas Robinson and Joel Freeland, I mean, those are going to be real liabilities come playoff time. Having those guys out there playing any sort of meaningful minutes. I think that this team is going to live and die on its starters and on the health of its starters.
What kind of moves, if any, do you see the Blazers making trade-wise?
I'm not sure. I think you're always going to listen, but I think they really like their starting 5 group. I think it's a very well-balanced, complementary group in terms of the skill sets, and they're playing very good basketball. And so I think, if I was sitting in their chair, I would look at the starting 5 and be very reluctant to touch it in any way. And if you're not going to touch your starting 5, then you're really going to be limiting the ceiling in terms of the kinds of moves you can make. Because the bench guys aren't going to really have a lot of value, and they already owe picks to Charlotte and things of that nature. That they did trade out a lot of picks this summer to kind of make some of those deals, whether it was the Lopez deal or the Robinson deal. So I'm not sure I necessarily see sort of like a home run big improvement move for Portland. If I were them, I'd be looking for one extra big. I'd certainly want to go in if you could find a 7-footer. Even if he's a veteran minimum kind of guy, they don't really have a roster spot, which makes it tricky. But, if they could find one extra big, I think that would be helpful. But I think that the way everybody's contracts are lined up, too, is a big issue here. Because they've got basically all of their important players under contract for this season and through next season, and that includes LaMarcus Aldridge. So if I'm Portland, when I'm looking at the roster building, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to keep my ears open, but probably not do too much at the trade deadline. But heading into next summer, that's when you're really trying to add that mid-level guy as a free agent signing. That's when you're trying to attract some more veteran talent to really fill out your rotation and kind of build from this base. I think, that's maybe when we should be highlighting and circling on the calendar in terms of, when do the big moves come.
So, right now probably the biggest move that they may make is as a guy coming back from injury in C.J. McCollum. What's his progress right now? I know he just had his MRI. Kind of what is the feeling from the Blazers right now?
That's a really good way to put it in terms of, him being the impact guy coming back. I mean, that's, it's almost like you're trading for him, right? Because he's been away the whole season. Yep. There's no clear answers, from that. They didn't provide any sort of an update this week other than, I guess it's to be determined. So we'll know once we hear that. But past that, I think people should really temper their expectations for McCollum. I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously he's pretty young, and Terry Stotts isn't playing a lot of young guys at this point. He's really relying on his veterans pretty heavily. Number two, McCollum's got some defensive issues, just like any rookie would. He's got some size issues, and that's going to make him, tough to sort of have him play big minutes. And then number three, they've already got a pretty solid 3-guard lineup between Lillard, Matthews, and Williams, where those guys are handling those minutes pretty comfortably. And so to carve out more playing time for McCollum gets to be a little bit tricky because it's not like you want to take Damian off the court any more than they kind of already have. They've succeeded in dropping Damian's playing time by a couple minutes, and I think they're very comfortable with the load he's handling at this point. So I don't think there's this big urgency that like they want to kind of save Damian or save Wesley. Some of the grind, I think Stotts is totally cool with how much his guys are playing. So I'm not sure I necessarily see McCollum, even if, let's say, if he came back, in a best case scenario, let's say he comes back in a couple weeks, which I'm not saying that's going to happen, but let's just hypothetically say that did happen. I'm not sure how much of an impact he's even going to make in that scenario. Just where this team is at, unless somebody else gets injured and he needs to step up and play real minutes, I think he's sort of a bit player in this rotation.
One of the things that the Blazers have been able to do with Mo Williams is play Lillard off the ball. With CJ McCollum, are they going to be able to do that? Is he going to be able to handle the ball the same way that Mo does and initiate the offense?
The early returns in Las Vegas for Summer League were not good on that front. He really struggled to run an offense. I mean, he was having all sorts of weird turnovers, like guys were backing him into the backcourt, and he was getting turnovers by, going over and back, which you never want to see from your point guard. And he's a natural scorer. I mean, that's sort of what he is in a shooter. I don't think he's a natural one by any stretch of the imagination. I think he sort of admitted that. But yeah, the Damian Lillard off-ball thing has worked pretty well for them on offense. That 2-point guard lineup is not doing very well on defense. And it's interesting because the same thing happened last year when they went with it with Eric Maynard, or even Ronnie Price or whoever else. I mean, anytime they've gone 2-point guards, it's been sort of a one-sided affair. So I think they look at that as more of a short-term thing. You're kind of doing it to mix things up. I don't know they necessarily look at that as being their bread and butter.
What's the possibilities that we can turn C.J. McCollum 7'1", 250 when he comes back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, they got a guy who's about that size in Myers Leonard. Kind of work your magic, you have a little bit of a wand or something, and kind of turn that into maybe the kind of player that you want him to be. But it's kind of a sad state of affairs actually for Myers, being a second-year guy and just being in a situation where he's not getting any sort of a look whatsoever. It's a really good sign for him that he hasn't kind of complained about it at all. I mean, that's really shows a lot of maturity on his standpoint. I think people get on him a little bit for maybe being a little bit of a goofball and kind of looking a little bit confused every once in a while, and I think that's just his personality. But let's be frank. I mean, imagine you had a job and then one day it was taken away from you and you have no idea when you're going to get it back. You'd be pretty upset about that. I think anybody would. And for him to be able to kind of stay above that and to really kind of keep those emotions in check has been something that I think deserves a lot of praise.
So Myers Leonard, what's the feeling around Blazers practice facility and the front office? Are they still counting on him as being a long-term answer at the 5, or are they kind of moving on and kind of tempering their expectations for him?
It's really funny. A lot of these questions you guys are asking are really good, long-term, big-picture type of questions. And when you have a team that's playing this well, I think I wrote a couple weeks ago, when you're on a winning streak, you just want the next game to come as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And I think when you're having the kind of success they're having, all of a sudden those long-term, big-picture questions kind of get shoved under the rug a little bit, and you start to really hone in on the short term. What's happening next? How do you match up against Houston? What's the right matchup there? And those big ones kind of get pushed by the wayside. I don't think that they've necessarily given up on Myers, but I think that they're saying, hey, if we have the chance to go out and win a playoff series and maybe even 2 and really shock the world, delaying Myers Leonard's on-court development for 1 year is the price to pay for that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he's the kind of guy who maybe finds his way into some trade talk. I don't know how much interest there would be in him. I don't think that they're willing to, they're ready to give up on him by any stretch, but I think he's really going to have to earn back any role, whether it's this year or next year. The onus is on him to make, serious improvements to his specific skills in terms of his awareness on defense, his ability to protect the rim, his help defense. I mean, all those things are going to need to come a long way if he wants to get minutes.
So, you talked about Houston and the next game. Last time these two teams played, Dwight Howard dominated down low against Robin Lopez and anybody else the Blazers threw at him. What can the Blazers do this game to try to temper some of that?
Well, they just kind of have to hope Dwight doesn't have sort of one of his best games of the season. It was funny. He was looking so on in that game. He was going to the left-hand hook, the sweeping hook across the paint, everything, the spin moves for the alley-oops. I mean, it just seemed like everything was working for him, and I don't know if his season has been quite that charmed on a game-to-game basis, and I think, there is a level of inconsistency you get with Dwight Howard where he doesn't necessarily always, bring it every single night. at the level of sort of, the game-changing, absolute domination level that Portland saw last time. They only have so many people to throw at them. Aldridge is really going to struggle in that matchup, so you got to kind of rely on Lopez. You got to hope that Freeland can kind of pull his weight. But Houston presents a lot of problems because they don't just have the inside game with Howard. They've got tons of shooters. And they've got, a guy in Harden who puts a lot of pressure on a defense. So they can beat you in a lot of different ways. You can't just decide, hey, we're going to take Dwight Howard out and expect to win every single night. It just doesn't work that way because they've got a very well-balanced and very efficient offense. So I think what Portland's going to try to do is, maybe play a little bit of offense or play a little bit of defense, with its own offense. I think they're really going to just try to say, hey, let's turn it up a little bit compared to how they played last time against Houston when it comes to the offense. Let's, try to move the ball even better than they did last time. Keep shooting the ball well, and hope that they're able to just kind of, potentially win a shootout.
Which Blazers will we see in the All-Star game?
It's going to get really tight. I mean, the nice thing about LaMarcus Aldridge having this, great stretch is that it's definitely going to take him off of the fringe, like, is he going to make it, is he not going to make it, discussion. I mean, he's in for sure. There's no question about it. I think he's going to be at the very top of the list of the reserves, and I think he's finally going to actually get a place of minutes in the All-Star game. Good. Which for him is great because it's not really something he's ever had before. He always seems to kind of be the last guy on the bench, and that's no fun. I think Damian's right on the cusp. I think he's probably going to be the last guy cut. As I go down the list, it's guys like Curry, Westbrook, Tony Parker. I think all those guys are going to just be above him on the pecking order. And I think he's going to sort of be in the position that Stephen Curry was last year, where it was just sort of like not quite good enough to make it. I think that's where he's going to be because you've also got guys like Kevin Love who've got to make it. And I just think, when you pencil it out, we actually did this a couple of days ago. When you pencil it out, I think I had Damian as the 13th guy on the roster, and, they only take 12. So unless somebody injures, maybe if somebody gets injured, he can be sort of an injury replacement. But, I think just because, the fans are going to vote in Kobe Bryant no matter what, that kind of puts Damian behind the 8 ball in terms of, his ability to get in.
Okay, unscientific poll here. Who has the best dancers in the NBA?
Honestly.
Maybe the Bobcats, actually. I think they're underrated. I think the Heat are sort of the overwhelming favorite in that category, but maybe the Bobcats. I don't know. That's probably not my forte.
Don't say you're not watching, Ben.
Everybody does, but I haven't put together a power ranking. Let's put it that way.
All right. Maybe that'll be the next one on the Blazers Edge. Well, thank you, Ben, very much. We appreciate you coming on, and as the season goes on, I'm sure we'll have you back on again.
Take care, Ben.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Take care.
All right. Ben Golliver from Blazers Edge. Ben's a great guy. I've done some shows with him in the past, and he's always come on, and he's always got some great insight. He's always following it. If you want, I don't know if you've been to Blazers Edge, but they have any article that's written about Blazers. Blazers Edge? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Even me?
Yeah.
All right. What about Johnson?
I don't know. Johnson. Yeah. But yeah, Blazers Edge. Any article that's written about a Blazers, he'll put it up there. So so you can if you need some Blazer news, you can definitely go over to Blazers Edge, and you can find everything current on the Blazers. And Ben also writes for Sports Illustrated. He writes about the NBA in general. So lots of great stuff there from Ben Golliver.
Coming up next, Nick Saban was paged at an Austin airport. We'll discuss that. Plus, should a snowball or two cost you a bowl game? You're listening to Portland Sports Beat Extra. I'm Brad. That's PJ. We're live at Portland Indoor Soccer.
Valley Catholic Early Learning School provides loving care and exciting learning experiences for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. It also offers after-school care for children through 5th grade. At Valley Catholic Early Learning School, we believe that children learn best by doing. We focus on the child's total development. Learn more about us at valleycatholic.org. Learning that meets the unique needs of each child. That's Valiant. Valley Catholic, home to exceptional academic programs, serving students in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, award-winning faculty, championship athletics, a renowned music school, drama and art. faith-based education on a beautiful 43-acre campus in the heart of Beaverton. Learn more at valleycatholic.org. Academics, arts, athletics, excellence. Valley Catholic. Celebrating 50 years of exceptional health care, Maryville provides skilled nursing care, inpatient rehabilitation, and memory care. We provide a warm living environment and stimulating social activities for our residents. Learn more at maryvillenh.org. At Maryville, your family is our family. Maryville, celebrating its 50th anniversary of service with love. Valley Catholic High School will host its 2013 open house on Sunday, October 13th from 1 to 4. Valley Catholic, the 2012 and 2013 winner of the Oregonian Cup, Oregon's top 3A school in academics, activities, athletics, and sportsmanship. Learn more about us at valleycatholic.org. Educational excellence that honors the unique gifts of each student. That's Valiant.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting tunes. Who is that?
This is the Bleeding Five-Finger Death Punch.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're back here at Portland Indoor Soccer, and there is indoor soccer going on, and it's chicks. Can I say that word? There are chicks behind us, and I love their legs.
I didn't get
Soccer legs are the
to
best.
turn around and watch.
Well, take a little look.
Yeah.
Here, I'll look at the.
You do the show.
I'll
and
do the
then
show.
I'll-
Yeah, you go look. You show me if
Yeah.
there's any soccer legs. You
Yeah.
bring them on
Yeah.
here. I'm Brad Stein. That's PJ Miller. We're Portland SportsBeat Extra, and we're doing it live. We'll do it live, PJ. We're gonna do it live. We're
Okay,
gonna do
O'Reilly.
college football. That's right. I love that soundbite. My
Yeah.
favorite ever. Nick Saban was paged at an Austin airport. Some prankster paged Nick Saban, and Twitter just blew up. Everyone in Austin's going crazy, and I took some of the tweets down because they were quite funny. Matthew tweets at the airport, over the intercom, just heard that Nick Saban paged to meet his car at the curbside check-in. So he's getting all excited. Then George tweets back, multiple people have confirmed that Nick Saban was paged at the Austin airport this morning. This is hysterical. So he thought it was funny. There was about 20 of them. Everyone's going crazy. Can you imagine your University of Austin? Maybe you're a student here and you heard, Mr. Nick Saban, your limo is waiting for you outside. How are you thinking? What is going through your head? Are you going to tweet that? Are you going to start calling everyone?
It's ridiculous. Just to
You're making
believe
such a
that-
big deal about this.
Do you really think that he's going to get
He's getting
paged?
paged.
Yeah, he's going to some
But
private
what kind of jerk would do a
airport.
prank? Actually, not a jerk. I think
Yeah.
he's quite humorous
Yeah.
and that's innovative.
Yeah, it was very good.
Loved it.
But the
Creative.
people who were gullible and fell for it,
Fell
that
for
was
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, the first guy, Matthew, he was really excited. He's like, is this real? Is it not real? Come on. Oh, I love it. I love college football. I love the humor. Pretty good. So much I love humor, I love snowballs. And we had a little winter storm. I didn't get too much snow by me.
I was up at Camas, and we actually got some. We had at least an inch up there.
At least a little inch
yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Okay, they had some down at the University of Oregon, and Mr. Pharaoh Brown, a reserve tight end, took it upon himself. And he's a kid. He's a child. He's a teenager. Had a little snowball fight, 1, 2 snowballs, and now he is
1, 2 snowballs.
maybe a little bit more on a professor's card. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you see the professor? But he didn't want to press charges. He looked upset at first, but
Yeah.
he didn't want to press charges once they knew that it was a football player.
Yeah.
So do you think this penalty is too harsh about being eradicated from a football game?
No.
A bowl game? No, it's not too
no.
harsh?
He threw the snow inside the guy's vehicle.
Inside it goes-
Yeah, that's
It's snow. It melts. It's ice.
he needs to learn a lesson from it. The bowl game really
Yes.
means nothing.
You hit the nail on the head. He needs to learn a lesson, but a bowl game?
Yeah,
Yeah, it means
it's a bowl
nothing.
game. It means nothing.
But it's just a
It's
bowl game. You're
Pharaoh
right. It means
Brown.
nothing.
It's not like it's
You're right.
Mariota.
No, I understand, but it's just a bowl game. It means nothing. Let's really penalize him. Let's make him do 250 hours of community service where he has to clean every toilet in every building of the University of Oregon.
That would never
clean
happen.
toilets.
Maybe
How
she
about
has to
that?
clean the new-
up professor's toilets. Wash his car once it gets
He
sunny
should like
out.
intern for him or something like that.
Something like that. Let him do something for the professor. He
Wash
ruined
his
the
car, yeah.
Yeah, do that to every professor. He has to wash their car. Every professor
Maybe
in that
do
building.
it like one of those. He has to hold the sign up and say, "I will not throw snowballs at anybody anymore."
He looked boring, that professor. What do you think? Was he English, history? He looked like a history
What was it?
teacher.
No, I
Economics?
want to say it was some science. I think
It
is
was
what
science?
it was.
Biology?
Yeah. I don't remember which one it was.
Let's say biology. He looked
Yeah.
like a biology. He looked like he cuts frogs' intestines open, plays around with it. it was mean.
You're just making him out to be like the evil professor.
Well, he just looked kind of boring. He's like, looking, it's funny. No, it's really not funny. He should be penalized. I just
Yes.
want to see him clean toilets. Learn your lesson. Don't take him out of a game. What does he care?
Kids will be kids, but
Kids will be
they
kids.
they have to face the consequences for what they do. I don't think he's
You're right.
a bad guy. It's not like
Is that the worst thing that can happen to him is being eliminated from a bowl game? I'm telling you, toilet duty is the worst thing I ever had to do in my life.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I think he'll take it very hard. I mean, I think that these players want to play in these games, and he's probably not going to get all the swag that all the other players are going to get for playing in the game and all the other stuff. I don't even know. He probably won't even make the trip. would be my guess.
No.
Yeah.
If he's suspended for the game, then he doesn't
Yeah.
make the trip.
Yeah, so he won't
Why are
even
they
be
going
able
to
get
waste
down
a
to the
hotel
bowl.
room on
Yeah.
him?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
He can sit
ridiculous.
home and then he can count snowballs on his head because he's not going to be at the game. Sorry, Pharaoh Brown. I was sticking up for you. I'd rather see you on toilet duty. I think
I'm
that's-
sure he would rather not be on toilet
Of course
duty.
he wouldn't. That's why I'm
Yeah.
just give him toilet duty. Don't take
You
him out of
can't
the
do
game. He's
that.
not even going to really play anyways. Heisman Trophy. Jameis Winston. He's the unanimous selection if you're okay with the alleged rape or
Incident.
alleged sexual incident, right, that he was never charged for. He was not charged. That's
Yeah.
the meat of the word right here. I still think he's the best player. I said before I would have voted for him because this is an award that happens on the field. Where do you stand?
I think because he wasn't even charged. To me, the bigger question is what happened with that police. Why did it take 9-10 months for anything to come of this?
Right. Or nothing to come
and-
of this.
Yeah, and why and it's really was a very big injustice to not only the victim but to also to Jameis Winston, because now this comes up and it looks bad for him just because of how long, because he's a football player and it took so long. Everyone's going to assume he's guilty,
Right,
because
because it's a
nothing
female,
came of
right.
it. Yeah.
Nothing came of
If they
it.
would have just come out and said, done their investigation, said, okay, there was not enough proof to do anything, it would have been a better situation for him, because now it just looks like people are covering up for him. And I think that just really does not do justice for the victim or for Jameis Winston, because no matter what happens here, someone is lying.
Someone's lying. We don't
Yeah.
know, but we don't know if it's him.
Yeah.
He said, she said, they said,
Yeah.
or nobody said. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what's going on.
So I think you have to treat it just as
An on-field award.
yeah.
Okay.
You can't take that into consideration at this point.
Let's say Marcus Mariota had an undefeated season, just like Jameis Winston, and only threw a couple interceptions. Now, do you still vote for Winston, or do you go to another quarterback who's pretty worthy?
If Mariota has,
If Mariota's undefeated, he's undefeated. He beat Stanford. He beat Arizona.
I think you
He's
would go to Mariota.
You would because
Well,
of this. Because of this. What if
if
the
you would've-
stats were the same? Mariota's stats were exactly the same, except they have the wins.
I don't know. I think it would be
Jameis-
a toss-up. I think it would be a toss-up just because.
But who do
if
you vote? You're a voter.
Heisman voter?
You're a Heisman voter. Are you going to vote for Mariota just because of that lingering issue?
No, I don't think that it would go back to more of the stats or how I think that they controlled their team.
Okay.
I don't think that if all things are equal, I don't even consider this, because I don't think it's fair to him,
It's
because
not
there's
fair.
there's not even charges weren't even brought.
Exactly.
So you can't
Exactly.
do anything about it. You can't let that be in your decision.
Well, it's a good thing that Fox Sports Florida agreed. They did a poll with 20 Heisman writers, and 16 of the 20 said they are voting for Jameis Winston. So it looks like I know there's like 182 voters or something like that, but if you just look at the 20 and you see such a high majority, 16 of the 20 voting for Winston, then there's a good indication that he probably and she should win. Said this before, he should win. I'm taking it back, because at first I didn't think he was going to win, no matter if they found him, if they were going to press charges or they were going to charge him with something or not. I said this is going to deter a lot of people, and they're not going to vote for him because of that. But there's really, to me, not a worthy second guy on the Heisman ballot right now. You could look at Mason Williams, Manziel, no way. McCarron lost that game. There's no one else.
No, there's not.
That's why Winston's going to win, and he was in charge. So you can't take this. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the Heisman, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anybody else really in the consideration.
Oh,
The one
it's
thing
not.
I was surprised about though
That's-
is Mariota. What was it?
He wasn't
3
even